Hello, hello. Today is happy hour time. So I've pulled my book out that has die cuts that people have been sending me, and I don't want them to get ruined. And that's a neat little tip for you. And what I do is I just separate them right in here. So I thought I'm going to make some cards today using some of these die cuts because my book is getting rather thick. So let's pull one out and let's see what's coming up first here. We've got some beautiful butterflies. Alrighty, and there's quite a few of them in here. So let's see what we can make with some butterflies. That's a good idea. Alrighty. That is beautiful. Wow, that is so pretty. These are just gorgeous, and look at that. Isn't that pretty? So, so pretty. Oh, that's a bow. It's a bow, but yet a butterfly. That's funny. Okay, so this one needs to be fussy cut, and then we can use all of these. So let's get that done now. That is a great idea. The color on this paper is beautiful. So it's starting to get a little chilly at times here in West Virginia. But it's okay because it's not that Connecticut damp to the bones and chilled to the bones. It's so humid year-round in Connecticut. And that humidity in the wintertime, when it gets chilly, it goes all the way down to the bones and it's miserable. So I'm really looking forward to see what it's going to be like here in West Virginia for this winter. I'm hoping it will be an easier winter on me. That would be a true blessing for sure. But already the heater in the house is much different here, so that really does make a big, big difference. That is really pretty. Isn't that nice? Wow. That should go on a piece of dark cardstock first to really show that off. That would be so pretty. As a matter of fact, we have this gorgeous. Ooh, yeah. Let's put it on that decorative paper. That is really pretty. Let's do that. And then we can fussy cut it out again. And that would be just gorgeous. Alrighty, glue, this glue. Alrighty, dighty. So let's get it over here and start getting some glue applied to it. That looks like that'll be good. There goes the train whistles. Choo-choo. I don't know why, but I love the sound of the trains. There. Let's turn this over and pat off the excess glue. There. Much better. Alrighty. And then we're gonna make it less sticky with that powder. That smells like a baby's butt. A clean one. I always love the smell of baby powder. All right, now we can trim this out And we can make this into a card. Did you ever play down on the train tracks or around them? I did. We used to, when we'd get those nasty colored, different flavored marshmallows, oh, they were so disgusting. Whenever we would get those, then we'd say, can we take them out to play with us? And then we'd run down to the to the train tracks, and we'd line them up on the train tracks and wait for the trains to come by. Because the trains came by every so often, and we knew about when they'd show up. And we'd sit along the edge of the trees and wait for those trains to come by and squish our marshmallows. And then we'd run over and look at them all squished. If we could find them. Sometimes we couldn't even find them. But sometimes we could. Sometimes we'd have to pick them back up and put them back on the tracks again. But it sure was fun. Yep, it was. All right, and that's funny. That's crooked. But that's okay. 5 1/4. And let's straighten this outer edge up. And then we can put this on. That's really pretty paper. Yep, yep, yep. Purty, purty, purty. Should we do that or this? Nope. That side. And actually, I'm wondering if we shouldn't just trim this down a little bit more. Do it about 2 1/2 inches. 2 1/8. There. That'll do half of the card. That's better. Then we can line this up over it. Good idea. And the egg yolks at Easter time. We would save the egg yolks and put those down on the tracks or on the road and watch the cars. Oh, that was so funny to watch the cars run them over. And when I would go to Voluntown in the summertime in Connecticut and spend the summer with my friends, the McElwains, then I would say, let's get some marshmallows, or let's put the egg yolks out in the middle of the road, and we'd all sit up on the steps next to the road and watch the cars come by, and and we'd laugh and laugh and laugh. It was just so funny to us. Yep, it was. It was fun to see. I'm looking to see if I have anything to make antennas. I do have that. Oh, you know what? I could either draw them or I could make them. Oop, I've got this string over here too. I guess I could just tie a knot. Why not? Let's do that. Let's see if I can. I should be able to do it close enough to the edge. And then about here. Yep, that should be perfect. All right, then we can snip this. Then we can fold that up. And there's our little antennas. Ta-da! I like it, I like it, I like it. Okay, so now we just have to glue this down. And we'll 3D this side up. And yes I do. I purposely left these out on my desk so I could use them up. So that is perfect. We were pretty much little rascals when we were younger. We used to get in to doing a lot of stuff. I used to love to take a dare, which was sometimes kind of dangerous because people would do some pretty good dares, even through high school. I love to be dared to do things, unless it was against what I believed. Then then of course I didn't. But or if I knew it was really somebody would get hurt or something, as long as it was just all in fun, then I would do it. And that was a lot of fun. I really truly enjoy doing that. Yep, I did. So like eating a bug or licking the dirt or things like that. Oh gosh, and I got in trouble one time because I did something really bad. I shouldn't have done it, but I couldn't handle it. I just had to do it. When I was in 6th grade, then the kids always said that, oh, what was his name? The teacher, Bednars, Mr. Bednars? I think that was his name, Mr. Bednars. They used to say that he was a sex maniac. And they said, we dare you to go in there and just say, Mr. Bednars, you're a sex maniac. So I did. I went up to his classroom door and yelled in the room, Mr. Bednars, I hear you're a sex maniac. And I turned around and walked away, and I was so proud because I did it. And I got called down to the principal's office, and I got in trouble for doing that. That was inappropriate, and I had to stay after school for the rest of the week and clean all the erasers. Starting with Mr. Bednars' class. So I'd have to gather up all the erasers and put them all in the buckets and carry them outside to the side of the school and smack them all on the side of the school. That was probably one of the worst things I did. Yep. Oh, I've got a couple made already. Or at least this one anyways. And that one matches. And that's pretty. Ooh, over there. Yep, let's put that on there. That's pretty. Purta, purta, purta. And Mr. Ryan, he was my teacher in that school. And Mr. Bednars he was my math teacher. But Mr. Ryan was my reading teacher. And I was still having a real hard time reading and comprehending. I could read the words, but I was having a really hard time reading and comprehending. And so he had me stay in at recess time, and he would very patiently, he got some of the Dick and Jane books, and he said, let's start at the beginning. And so we went through, and I would read out loud to him, and he would sit next to me, and he would just encourage me and say, okay, now let's read this, and tell me what you think. What is it saying? And I read it, and I would talk to him, and I would tell him. And he talked to me all the way through all the different stages of books. He was so patient with me and so loving. He was my all-time favorite teacher, besides Mr. Vernadakis. But I saw him years later when I worked for physical therapy services, and his wife came in, and I said, I knew a Ryan, a Mr. Ryan, and because she was talking to me, and I was doing her billing, and she said, yeah, my husband used to teach over at Pleasant Valley Elementary School. And I said, no kidding. And I said, he's my Mr. Ryan. And she was so thrilled that I remembered him and thought of him. And she said, oh, I have to bring him in to see you. He would love to see you. And so the next time they went out, then she stopped him by. Oh, and I gave him a big hug, and I just told him, thank you so much. Because of you, because of him, then I learned to love reading. Because after he spent all those hours with me reading and helping me and being patient with me and encouraging me and telling me, you can do it, see, you can do it. And that's all I needed, was just a vote of encouragement. So, and someone to just be patient with me. And he was that person. And I am an avid reader now. I love to read. It is so much fun. I find much pleasure in grabbing a book and getting lost in it. And it's all because of Mr. Ryan. And that's really nice. Do you have a teacher like that really meant something to you? If you do, share in the comments. That's always fun to hear. That would be a nice little thing to share and to see. I'm sure we've all got a favorite teacher. Mr. Burdette was from Pierce Brookline Elementary School in Massachusetts when we lived there when I was 10. And he was my math teacher, and we used to have to do the 100 multiplication facts, and we would race to see who could do them in under a minute. And we'd have all the 100 facts on a piece of paper, and then we'd take another piece of paper and we'd fold it back and forth, and we'd write the answers and fold the paper down, write the answers, put the paper down, write the answers, put the paper down, write the answers, fold the paper down. And if you can do it in under a minute, then you got the next turn to stand up in front of the class and time everybody and chew a piece of gum. He'd give you a piece of gum. And I did it 2 times. It was so exciting. I couldn't believe I actually did it 2 times. That was fun. This came out pretty. I like that. I think I'm doing more talking than making cards, but whatever. It's happy hour, right? Oh, that is beautiful. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? Do I want to make a cat card? That is gorgeous. Is that just one? It is. That is really, really pretty. Is that a sticker? Is it? Or is it just stuck on a piece of paper? I think it might be stuck on a piece of paper. Yeah. Yeah, that's not a sticker. That's really pretty. Let's make this into a card. Yeah, I want to do it that way. There, okay. Alrighty. Is that one printed? Yes, it is. All right. That is so pretty. Let's make that into a card. Will that fit on an A2? It just does. Oh, is that pretty? Oh, my heavens. Someone's got a motorcycle out there, and they're having fun with it. Oh, that is so pretty. All right, but we need something for a background. Let's see. Let's do... Do I have a piece of green in here? I do. I could make grass. Do I have a long, skinny one? I usually do. That even looks like grass. I could piece that. That looks like grass too, doesn't it? Actually, that matches better. I like that the best. All right, maybe I'll cut that piece. Okay, I'm going to cut a piece of that because that looks pretty. Green, green, green. Put that back in my folder there. Let's cut a piece of grass. That'll be pretty. Alrighty, about that much. That'll work. Ta-da! Put this back in the green folder. this out here, and let me trim that edge. There. Then this can go down on the bottom. That's going to be purty. Purty, purty, purty. Alrighty, and then, yeah, let's just go for it. Where's my glue stick? Right there. Leave a little bit of a white bottom. Why not? Alrighty. That's perfect. Alrighty, daddy. That is really pretty. Okay, let's get some glue on this. And I think we're going to use the glue stick because there's a couple nice big spots that I can get some glue on. So I may as well use them. There we go. That is so pretty. I love it. That is gorgeous. How pretty. And then we can do a simple thinking of you. Aw, I like that. Very nice. And let's 3D that. Or shall we stick it on this? Yep, let's put it on there. Let's 3D this on here. So we'll glue this down afterwards. That's a good idea. Voila. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Then we could put this on here. Trying to sort through, or do we want it up there? No, that'll take away from the butterfly. This is perfect. I'm trying to sort through and see what I haven't used in a while and what I'm hoarding because I've got little stashes everywhere like this. That's really pretty. And see if I can't make some stuff instead of just hoarding stuff. Yep, so let's cut another trimming of this. And I'll put that on the inside. So that the inside matches. And I believe this is the last of the paint swatches that somebody sent me. I could be wrong, but there. Not too shabby. That's pretty. Very simple. But those are neat. What do you use for your antennae? You have to let me know in the comments. If your butterflies don't have them, then what would you use? I do have wires too, which is what I usually use, but I don't know. I've always got a spool of thread on my desk, so I figured I'd use that. Okay. I guess I'm not in the mood to do any more butterflies. I want to go through and do one of everything, or until I'm done. One of everything until my time runs out, I guess I should say. So let's put these back in here, and let's see what's next. Ooh, I've had this one for a while. It's just so beautiful. Oh my goodness, Cinderella. I love it. That took a one there. That is just so gorgeous. I think I'm going to have to sponge this one. So let's do that. Let's turn this over, and I'm going to get, oh, let's see. I'm going to need 2 sponges, and I'm going to need blue and green. Blue and green. there's green and there's blue. Alrighty, we can do this. And yep. And we need a piece of paper. Alrighty. This will be perfect. We're gonna do this. Yes, we are. I like to get the lines in there for the grass, but I like to make sure it's covered in nice. There, that's perfect. Okay, now let's get the blue ink, and we can do blue. And I like to go into the green just a little bit because I want to make sure that I don't have a white line in between. So you want to come down off of the green and show where that green is. Actually, it would probably show up if I did it this way. Yeah. So see, that way I've got about 1/8 of an inch there that's exposed. And then I can start doing this. Whoop. And we've got to hold it down good. Try to rub all the way out to the outer edge. And I can see that color lining up on there. That's looking really pretty. Ooh-wee. That looks pretty. Nice. Get a little bit more color up on this side. That looks better. Okay. Very good. We got it. All right, now this will go on. Isn't that pretty? That looks so pretty. What a nice card. So let's 3D this up. These are going to be perfect for this. That's perfect. I think we need another one on the head here. Yep. And I think that that should be good. That's about all the biggest spots that there are, so that will have to do. Alrighty, this is going to be so fun. Ta-da! Oh, isn't that pretty? That's just gorgeous. All right, now I really like that. It's got to be finished though. And I'm thinking that would be pretty to have a little row of bows going across the top. That would be adorable. Or like a little banner. I've got banners. Let's see what we've got. We definitely have banners. Oh, let's see. Borders, borders, borders. All right. What do we have? Nope, nope, nope. That might work. I wonder if that would take away. It depends on which one I would put on there. There is a blue one. Let's see what that would look like. Oh, there's a white one. No, I don't like that at all. Okay, what about this blue one? I don't think I'm going to like that either. But we shall see. That's kind of pretty. But I think it takes away. It definitely takes away. If it were just the blue with that, that would look okay. But I think together it's just too much. Okay, so let's put these back in here. This one would be pretty. But yeah, those ribbons are just too much for this. All right, and I definitely don't want to take away. But that's okay, because now I know. Alrighty. Borders right there, okay. Bows. Presents. Oh. Trying to think. Think. Where did I put those little bows? I put them over here. Now I'm on a bow hunt, because now I'm picturing bows. Put them in here. Itty bows. Oh, that might work. Oh, that's so pretty. I forgot about this. Laverne sent me these beautiful floral. Oh, they're so pretty. I could so see one of these on there. Let's see if one of these will work like this one. Oh, now that is beautiful. I like that. And that's got the blue and green, or do we want just the green? Let's see. Do we like... Oh, that's even better. All right, we're going to do that one. That is so beautiful, and that is perfect. All right, that is definitely going on there. This lace is just absolutely gorgeous. Oh, I love that you shared it with me, Laverne. That is just so pretty. And let's so do this. That is really pretty. All right, so we're going to need some tacky glue. Yep. And we're going to need to trim this off. There we go. And we're going to need tacky glue here. And let's kind of go back and forth. put some extra glue right on these flowers. That should do it. I love tacky glue. Tacky glue is just the best. The best stuff ever. All right. That is so pretty. Did I cut a little bit too long? Maybe. Yeah, I can cut this one off. Okay. And that's okay. We got this. That is really pretty. I love it. Oh my goodness, we could put this one on his neck. Oh yes. That is so pretty. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Look at that. That is such a pretty idea. That is beautiful. Oh my goodness, what a pretty card. Oh, Laverne, I hope you're pleased with this. That is a beautiful way to use this flower garland ribbon. It's just so, so pretty. Oh, I love it. Oh, I'm so pleased with that. Very, very nice. Awesome sauce. This is definitely my favorite card. Oh, that is so pretty. And what a simple, dimple way to show that off. There's gorgeous. All right, so let's lay this right here so it can finish drying. Nice and flat. Okay, we can put green and blue ink away. Here we go. And let's go on to the next thing. What else is in here? We have, oh, that was so fun to make that. We've got a feather. Oh, a bicycle. Oh, I can picture both. This, I can definitely picture another scene like that. Let's do that one next. Another scene, but with balloons flying or flowers. Flowers in here and then maybe flowers flying. Oh, that would be fun. Let's do that. That would be really cute. So I guess I got to get that green and blue out again. That's okay. We can do this. At least I know right where it is. Aha, because I just used it. Alrighty, so let's do this again. So let's get green down on the bottom. That is so fun. Okay, let's turn that over. And use the blue. That's funny, I'm going blue, blue, eat some glue. I can just hear my Grandma June doing that. She was the silliest grandma ever. She would make it red, red, wet the bed. Yellow, yellow, kiss that fellow. Did your grandma ever say things like that? Or did you ever hear rhymes like that? She used to come up with some silly, funny things, and it was always, oh, she'd get us kids giggling. And playing penny poker with her. That was so fun. Every summer, we'd spend it usually 1 or 2 weeks with Grandma, with our grandmothers in Pennsylvania. That was always so much fun. And she used to, our favorite dinners was when she would make us spaghetti and meatballs, and she would make us, or the fried cube steaks. Oh, they were so delicious. All right, then we could put this on there. Oh, we could put Toto in the front. Toto, oh no. That's hilarious. That is really cool. I like that. Okay, so let's get this 3D'd up. So we're going to need that back out again, and we're going to need these. Grandma Vargo, she actually bought a little, or caught a little, it looked like a little yellow canary. It's a little yellow, it's probably a black-hooded thatcher, something. Yep. All right, we need, that's funny, this one didn't have it missing, but that one does. All right, maybe I could put this piece. Will it work? Right there, it'll work. That'll work right there. All right. But anyway, she caught this bird because we were sitting down, and my sister and I would spend a week over at Grandma June's house, and then Grandma Vargo always, she didn't mind us girls coming over, but the boys were just too much because there were 4 boys. So she would have us girls go over for another week and give Grandma June a break. And I was a baby. I just cried all the time. So Grandma June was always thankful by the end of the week when I'd be going over to Grandma Vargo's. But I do remember crying at Grandma Vargo's, but mostly just at night because the boys used to come over and they would scare us. So when we were trying to go to bed. So, but anyways, she caught this yellow bird, and Becky and I were so excited, and we played with that bird and we fed that bird, and it was so much fun. And she said, but by the end of summer, we have to let it go again. So we did. So before we left, then we let it go again. Yep, that was so much fun. All right, now, little dinky flowers. I'm thinking just a couple little flowers in here, and then some little dinky flowers flying out, like these. But I've got some already, so let's pull these out. Yep, because I have been going through my gems and trying to use up all of the excess little gems that I had. So let's just go ahead and dump these out because I know I've got a bunch of little teeny ones in here. Yep, I do. So I can get rid of these bigger ones. This is what I'm looking at. Because these could be definitely flying out. But I think I want all white ones. Oh, I don't know. We'll see. But the biggest ones we don't need. Oh, that is so fun. Make them flying out of the basket. That's so something I would have done when I was little. Nope, we need just one. One big one and a bunch of little ones, or just a bunch of little ones. We shall see. I'm not sure, but that's something that I definitely would have done when I was little, is fill a basket up with flowers and then ride really fast to see if they would all fly out. I've even done things like that when I'm older. My mother and I, one year at Christmas time, then between my marriages, my first husband had the girls on Christmas Day, that first Christmas, and or Christmas Eve. He had him Christmas Eve and I had him Christmas Day. And so they were over there, and my mom and I were like, what's something we haven't done in a while? And let's go out and see if Fabrics 84 is open in Connecticut. So we went out there and we saw in the dumpster in the back, Fabrics 84 had closed down, but they had recently closed down. So in the dumpster, well, first we saw on the ground, there was ice all over the ground, and there was a roll of fabric. There was a big sheet of fabric that was partially stuck inside the puddle, the icy puddle. And so we were like laughing, going, oh my goodness, that is so funny. I wonder if we could get it up out of there. So we're both tugging and pulling on it. Just being idiots. It was so silly of us. And so I think I just went all little ones. So anyways, we were doing that, and then I thought, well, I wonder if there's some actually left in the garbage cans. And so we drove over, and I had my truck, and so we drove the truck over, and sure enough, the garbage cans, there were 3 big dumpsters, and they were filled with leftover fabrics. And Fabrics 84 was they sold the ends, the mill ends. And so there were always lines and stuff, like, so you had to like work around when you got the fabric. You got it really cheap, but you had to work around the printings that were on there that were printed on irregular. It was all irregular fabric, so there were glitches to it. So you had to work around and cut around and be really, really fussy with it. So a lot of times. But other times, then, you get some really good stuff, and it was amazing. So, but anyways, that's perfect, just like that. All right. So anyways, we went over to this dumpster, and she's like, and she's 20 years older than me, and she's like, Barb, back the truck up, and I'll see if I can pick, because there were big bags of fabric in the dumpster, and excess fabric that was in the dumpster that was blowing out. So she said, let's see. She said, we could probably fit at least 3 of these huge bags in the back of your truck. So I'm like, well, there's no way. I am not strong enough to pick that up. She says, I am, which she is. And she was. So it took us a while, but she eventually got those picked up and put in the back of the truck. So we've got, look like Santa's truck. These 3 great big bags of fabric. It was so funny. So we got it. And then there was a store right there, right on the corner. And we're laughing, saying it looks like Santa's got some bags in the back. And I said, wouldn't it be funny if gifts were flying out all around the town and we were just being silly? And I said, oh my goodness, Mom. I said, you know how we've always wanted to see popcorn flying? And she goes, yes, let's do it. So we went into the little store and we bought one of those great big bags of popcorn. And oh my goodness, it was hysterical. We opened it up, and it was like 2 bags for this humongous bag of popcorn. And we just, we left the bag open in the back of the truck, and that popcorn was flying. We went down the highway, and we were laughing our butts off. It was so funny. Just like 2 little kids. We were just ridiculous. But we were having such fun. And watching that popcorn blow out of the back and just fly all over the highway as we're driving. It was so funny. The silly things we did. And then we got home, and oh my goodness, we made so many gifts that year using all that fabric that we had found. That is really pretty. I like that. Maybe a couple on the ground too. But we had we decided to make baby blankets because we had a couple old blankets. So we used the blankets that we had, the old comforters, and we cut those in 4 and made baby blankets and covered them with the fabric. And that was fun. And then we donated those to the Women's Center. We made stockings using some of the fabric. and took my daughters to the Dollar Tree, and we decided instead of us having stockings that year, that we were going to fill the stockings up. We were going to do $5 for each of us and fill the stockings up with 5 things each. So that was 4 stockings that we made. And then we decided that, and there were four single people in the church. So we decided to go knock on their door and deliver a stocking to them on their door and then run. Oh, and the girls thought that would be so much fun, and they loved the idea until it was time to actually do it. Then the girls were both very shy. So it was so funny. That is adorable. Oh my goodness, look at this. That is just too cute. I'm loving this. So we drove up, and it was just after dusk. It had just turned dark, and we drove up, and we got to the one fella's house, and the girls were going to take turns ringing the doorbell. One was going to ring the doorbell, and one was going to knock. And so I guess Melissa was supposed to ring the doorbell. So Rachel rang the doorbell, and Melissa was supposed to knock. So Rachel rang the doorbell, and Melissa refused to knock because she didn't want the people coming, because as soon as that doorbell rang, then she was scared, and she just mummified. She just stood there stiff, and she was like a deer in headlights. It was so funny. So Rachel starts yelling, "Mom, Grandma, Melissa won't knock on the door." And we could see the older gentleman in there looking out the window at the girls. It was so funny. So he knew they were up to something. But he stayed in until they ran away, and we're like, well, just come on, because we could see the guy in the doorway. Oh, that was so funny. But he knew who it was, and he went along with it, and he was thrilled to get the stocking. So that was really fun. And that's funny because I don't remember the other ones. I just remember that one because it was so fun. This came out really adorable. That's just what I was picturing. That's fun. I like that. It still needs something else, though. It feels like it's falling off the page. That's why. It needs something else. Maybe some dotted lines going around. I'm going to do that. Some stitching. Let's do that. Oh, yes. That's exactly what it needs. Perfect. We had also made journals. Oh, the girls had so much fun. My mother had so much paper. And so she said, well, you know what? She said, the girls are good drawers. And so she said, maybe you girls can draw pictures. And I forget, we made at least a dozen, if not a couple dozen journals. And we had bought pencils at the Dollar Tree and sharpened them and tied the pencil to the front of the journal with a string. So they were attached. And we just took paper and construction paper, lined paper, and the girls colored on the construction paper, colored pictures, and then we put them, just stapled a journal together with lined paper in between it, and they, with their drawn picture on the front, and then a pencil hanging on it, and that was so much fun. That looks better. I like this. Very nice. Now we need something on the inside, and I'm thinking maybe a couple little flowers in the corner. I keep closing these flowers up and dumping them out some more, but that's okay. We're going to do this. But that was so much fun. And it's nice because the girls remember doing that. And they bring things up like that every once in a while, and they say they enjoyed doing stuff like that, doing for other people. Which I agree. It's always fun to think of others instead of ourselves. And I was so proud of the girls that year. that we really didn't give them stockings that year. We really just left our stockings hanging there and left them empty because they knew that we filled their stockings. So, and I said, so instead of doing that, then the money we can do for other people. And they really liked that idea. And they said, well, we'll still get presents though, right? And I said, of course you'll still get presents. And so, but just nothing in our stockings. And I said, and they knew that I wasn't a liar and that I was going to follow through with that. And that really did mean, because that's one thing that I've always been adamant about, is not being a liar to my kids. If I said I was going to do something, I was going to do it. If I said I wasn't, then I wouldn't. So, yep. Do I want? Yeah, I want a row. But that's something that I was very glad to do. I was so happy to do that with the girls, and they were able to learn to be giving and thoughtful of other people because of that. And they're still very much like that when they see a need. If they see someone needs something, then they are definitely all for getting it for them, if it's within their means. Yep, that's pretty. All right, I'm very pleased with how this one came out too. Even with all my yapping. Yep. I'm really on a roll with talking today. But that's okay. If you don't like what I'm talking about, you can always mute it. That's an idea for you. That is really cute. I like that card. All right. I'm enjoying this. All right, we've still got a little bit more time, so let's see what else is in here. All right, so we did butterflies. We did that. The feather is still there. That's pretty. We could do a God bless you one. Let's do that. I haven't done just our words on the front of a card in a while. So let's do that. That would be so pretty with little flowers on that. We could do that. I have some blank ones here, and we could put pink gems on them. That would be pretty. Let's do that. Guess I'm on a roll with flowers. Or first, let's get the card there. And let's see what background paper we're going to put on here. Let's see. Nope, it needs to be a full sheet. All right. Ooh, wait a minute. I've got these that I did, and that will match. Ta-da! That is so going on. Okay, let's shoot this through a folder first. Polka dots, of course. Whoop. Punches are in the way. That's nice. All right, so let's try some tape this time. That'll be nice. Nice. All right. Gotta make sure that's pressed in there really good. There we go. And this background paper was actually, I had a handful of folders from my teaching days. And this is the front and back side of the folders. They were gorgeous folders. So I cut all the writing off of them, and I saved all the scraps to make backgrounds. So I got a whole little pile of backgrounds that I was able to make. This is going to be so pretty. How nice. And I think I am going to go ahead and just glue this straight down, and then we'll add the flowers all over it. Sometimes I miss teaching. I really enjoyed going over to the women's shelter and the women's prison. That was a lot of fun. I totally enjoyed it. There. Oh, yes, that's nice. All right. And I'm thinking, do I want just that, or do I want bigger ones too? I'm thinking this one we could do. No, just use these. All right, we're just gonna go for it. Come here, little piggy. That is so pretty. Oh my goodness. All right, and then we'll do some more. That's perfect. All right, turn that over. Get that nice little back rub. Make sure that's all pressed into the glue, which it is now. That's perfect. Alrighty. Then we can put these leftovers in here. Maybe. I can get them to stick to my fingers. All right. Now we need little pink gems. Those are pink. That will work. Stay there. All right, what am I looking for? My X-Acto knife. This is going to be really pretty. Or should I use black in the middle? Do I have enough black? I'm not sure. Yes, I do. I think that might be better. Let's do black. That is sharp. Yep. So that's a fun way to pretty up a word die cut. Have you ever thought of doing that? That is really pretty. I like that. Whoops, I missed one. You're going, Barbara, that one, that one, that one. I can hear you. I can hear you. That's really pretty. I'm impressed. All right. So now let's put a couple gems down here. That's perfect. All right. So we got another one done. Isn't that pretty? And I think we might be done. Let's check the time and see where we are. Oh, yes. Okay. We're at an hour and 5 minutes. So here is the word. I really like that. This is so adorable. Isn't that pretty? With flowers on the inside. That is so cute. And this cat is gorgeous. Such a pretty die cut. And then this butterfly. That was the very first one that we made. And I still think this is my favorite. That is just so beautiful and delicate looking. So if you've got a favorite, let me know which is your favorite in the comments. That's always fun to hear. And I hope you enjoyed our happy hour today. I sure did. And until we meet again, happy crafting. Bye-bye.